Guys, welcome in to Grabbing the Brisket show. It is a pleasure to have all of us in the same room. It's been a while since we've been able to do this. And welcome in, Matt. Welcome in, Alex. I feel like the last couple of weeks, Matt's been in, but Alex has probably been out a lot, right?
Welcome in, James.
Welcome in, James,
what about John?
of course. And John is
here?
a staple. He's always here. But more importantly, let's welcome in Breanna Stark of House of Stark, Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Not only is no wrong.
Nope, wrong one.
This
Okay,
is
I
why
did
we
not.
don't let you introduce
This is why you're not
people.
allowed
Did
to do
not.
this.
Okay, how about this? Breanna Stark, badass social media influencer, married to barbecue, and also a competition cooker. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, welcome in.
Yeah, I like that. I like being described as a competition cooker more than I like being described as an influencer. You know, the social media world is still, I mean, I've got a year under my belt now, but it's been a learning experience. But I always feel like influencer sounds so silly. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know. I'm just a girl who loves doing barbecue and loves sharing stuff. So I'm glad that other people like it too, you know?
The whole influencer, it's so, for me, it's just so cringy. It's so when I'm catching influencers in the wild, and I really feel bad for myself. I'm like, when I'm doing something in the garage and I got the ring light up and people drive by or they're walking their dogs, I'm just like, I wave. I'm like, hey, best of luck to you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you sign something?
Right. Yeah. So I fully understand what you say, what you're saying there, Breanna. But hey, welcome into the Grab and Brisket podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you. Every time I order, I'll order like DoorDash or Instacart or something. Like, hey, I realize I'm out of an ingredient and I'm in the middle of filming, so I'll order Instacart and I'll have like my like studio lights set up in my kitchen. I've got a window out of my kitchen that you can see right as you walk up, and I'm like, God, these delivery people probably think I'm some lunatic with all these lights and ring lights and all this stuff set up into my kitchen.
You know, maybe so, but I think it's becoming more and more the norm right now, right? I think like every person has a ring light, and everybody's got a boom stick that they can hold their phones out further. I mean, this is, you know, 5 years ago when you saw this, you're like, I don't know what they're doing.
Right, selfie sticks.
That's weird. Like, come on. But now it's so mainstream, and I feel like if you're going to be on social media at all, if you don't have these things, then you're just kind of lagging behind. Well, I don't know.
So I'm telling you, like, I am lagging behind in a major way, like, as far as equipment goes. Like, I still film everything on my iPhone. Now, granted, I have the new, like, iPhone, what is it, 12, 13,
Yeah, those things make
Pro.
movies. We've seen the commercials.
But, like, literally my lights are off Amazon, and they were just, like, the most affordable ones I could find. My ring light is broken, and I use it as a stand when I'm filming, like, all the time, and it's totally broken, and, like, the top notch doesn't work, but I've figured out how it works for me. And my husband asked me the other day, he's like, when are you just going to buy a new one? I go, I don't know. This one has gone viral a lot of times, so I kind of trust it at this point.
Nice.
This is the Lucky Mike stand.
Yeah. Hey, but don't be afraid to buy another one just to show the one you have. It can be replaced, right?
I'm a creature of habit, you know, this whole, like I said earlier, like this whole social media thing just kind of all happened by not by accident. I mean, I put a lot of work into it, but you know, that first video we ever posted of barbecue, it just like, we posted it on a whim. We had bought that, you know, Oklahoma Joe's Bronco barrel smoker that morning, and we had been playing around with posting TikToks of like riding our four-wheelers and stuff. And, you know, we'd gained like 10,000 followers just from the four-wheeler content. And I was like, well, this is kind of fun. You know, I didn't really think anything of it at that point. And then, you know, Andy was like, hey, we should do a barbecue TikTok. And I was like, well, I don't want to drag the competition, because, you know, we have a big competition trailer. I was like, I don't want to drag the big competition trailer all the way to the house out of storage just to film a TikTok. I was like, that seems silly. And he goes, well, I'm going to go to Academy and get a smoker. I said, okay, all right, well, you go do that. And it's like 8 a.m., mind you. And he comes home with a couple racks of ribs and a new Oklahoma Joe's Bronco barrel smoker. we seasoned it for a couple of hours, threw it down through olive oil and let it smoke, kind of let it season a little bit. And then took the racks of ribs, seasoned them up, and threw them on the smoker and just did our competition style ribs. And, a couple days later, I edited it and I did my little voiceover thing and woke up the next morning after posting it and had over 1 million views. And it was kind of like jarring. It was like, what the heck just happened? You know?
Yep. No, you know what? And I will say this. You do have a really, I guess, a very commercial voice, I guess you could say, right? It's when I've heard right now, I think even a lot of things that you've put out there, other people have used. I think
we've used your voice more than once.
We've used a few times, right? So
you guys have gone viral with my audio before.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like this is things that you have a really commercial voice that it just sounds really good. And like I said, we've used it. But I know other people have used it as well, right? So I can see all of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and people are always DMing me like, can you make another barbecue audio? Can you make another audio? I was like, can you just make your own? No.
Yeah. You're like,
but it's I do have that kind of voice, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because I think that's the thing that I'm the most self-conscious about. And I was never in my life ever self-conscious about my voice. I never thought about my voice. And then I started social media and I would just get these terrible comments like, you sound like a news reporter, or why does she talk like that? Or this
breaking
chick's
news
voice is so annoying. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, it's become an insecurity. But now I've just kind of leaned into it because I feel like it's like, obviously it's working. So the few people that want to hate and say mean things, whatever.
Listen, if they're not hating, that means you're not doing your job.
Right. Man, we've had plenty of haters this week.
Oh, we've had a lot of haters. A lot of haters. It's fine though. And actually, I'm the type that doesn't really address it. I don't even talk about it. It's like having a big elephant in the room. I just keep tiptoeing around it and don't really ever say anything. And then James and John, no, they just keep posting more and more videos and throwing it at people like left and right. I'm like, right. Dude, like this is
and so like fun.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole group thread that we had. We were discussing this whole thing because we posted this brisket video. And whether it was dry or not dry, or people's conception of what it was,
ugly, different color.
Some guy posted and was like, "Oh, great! I'm tired. This is like the 5th video I've seen of you guys doing this. Basically, just put it to bed. I'm tired of it." I'm like, and he made some shitty comment like it's I don't know, it's trash or whatever. And I was like, "Well, it looks like you just became the 6th video." And I screenshot it and I sent it to the guys, and Jan did come back. He's like, well, maybe the guy is right. He said that the brisket looks like trash or looks whatever. And then Jan's like, well, maybe the guy is right. And I'm like, well,
not right about being trash.
Well,
I tried the brisket.
Please clarify your statement there. But yeah, he was like, you got to put it to rest. Just let the guy go.
I was like, hell no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get so many comments about like, oh, that looks dry, or that looks undercooked, or that looks raw, or, did you drop it in dirt, and all of those things. And it's funny because, there's one thing that, like, it doesn't bother me when people kind of, like, try to hate on my food or hate on my cooking because I've done competition barbecue for, God, almost a decade now, and I have the trophies to prove that my food is good. So I know that I know what I'm doing, but sometimes it's difficult to kind of like translate that into social media because you have people that will literally pull a brisket off the smoker and slice into it 5-10 minutes later. And yeah, it looks super juicy and look at all that juice coming out and whatever. But you know what? All of that moisture and all of that flavor just ended up all over their cutting board and not actually in the brisket where it's supposed to be. I think I actually commented on that video you guys posted, today or yesterday, and I was like, oh, so sorry, I rest my meat, so right. Sue me. You know what I mean?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like 99% of the people out there that make a comment that's super negative like that, one, has probably never done what you're doing at all, right?
Right.
Two, they would never say it to your face. Right?
Exactly.
That's
really, they just don't know what they're talking about. You get the comments like, oh, that brisket, I like mine medium rare. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Well, there was a guy that said it earlier. He goes, no, this is definitely overcooked. I like mine a little more pink. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, And so somebody else is like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I pull mine at 180, 185. And I'm like, you're pulling your brisket at 185.
Pull it to wrap?
Then it's tough. It's not going to be tender. It's going to be a tough brisket. So,
the amount of times I've gotten requested, people have requested a medium rare brisket, and I won't do it because, well, meat prices are through the roof right now, and I'm not made of money. But also, like, it's impossible when you have that much. You've got a huge layer of like subcutaneous fat on there, but also like the intramuscular fat in a brisket, like it needs time to render. And if you don't let it do that, I mean, I just can't even imagine trying to bite into that.
Oh,
and
it's
trying
rubber.
to bite into it on video.
It's
that's
rubber.
not happening.
I can tell you right now, we've actually
Tough as
tried
shit.
this. We've actually had like giant like cuts of like brisket left over after trimming. Like, hey, let's just trim this. Let's treat it like a steak. We'll just cut it like a steak and we'll cook it like a steak. And you chew on it and you chew on it and you chew on it.
Bubble gum.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, so
it's not going to happen.
Nobody wants to eat that.
No.
And I feel the same way about people, and I think you guys have done this, but I don't care if I offend you because I love you guys, and think you guys know I love you. It's the same thing when people try to cook a tri-tip like a brisket. Like, I'm sorry, it's a different cut of meat, and tri-tip is best served medium rare and reverse seared. And that whole tri-tip like a brisket trend, man, I'm like, you guys have to understand, like, you can't cook everything like a brisket. You know what I mean? Like, there's different cuts of meat that are cooked different ways for different reasons, you know?
To our defense, we claimed it to be cooked like a brisket because we put it on a smoker, but we did not cook it to a 200 degrees. We cooked it to a nice medium well, or not medium well, medium.
It was like a medium,
it's probably about
rare.
130 degrees or 120, 25 degrees.
Yeah.
There's no
125 is still medium rare, so that's still that's still in my Breanna approved category of tri-tip temperature.
There are a lot of people out there that say, hey, you got to try it once. Just cook a tri-tip like a brisket. I can tell you, the first time I've ever cooked a tri-tip, I cooked it like a brisket.
That's because you didn't know any different, right?
I didn't know any different.
It's a big piece of meat, and you're like, all right, let's just wrap it up. We'll smoke it, and then we'll wrap it, and we'll take it all the way to whatever. You know,
it pulled apart like a brisket. It was kind of tender, but it was dry as hell.
Yeah, like the Sahara.
You know, it was so funny. The first tri-tip we ever did on our channel, or what do you call it? What do you call it? TikTok, a channel, a page, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My husband goes, hey, I want to do a tri-tip. And I was like, man, I hadn't really had a lot of experience with tri-tip. And I don't know where he got it from, but he was just kind of like, yeah, let's do a tri-tip. My friend Cody's been doing it. Let's try it out, whatever. And we reverse seared it, but we cooked it on the Oklahoma Joe's Bronco. And then we smoked it, and then we pulled it off, and we reverse seared it on the Weber Genesis, like the gas grill, because we use our gas grill, and I have no shame in my gas grill, and I get a lot of hate for it on the internet, but I like a nice propane grill once in a while. Yeah, it's not the same flavor as charcoal, but honestly, at the end of the day, it's a hell of a lot easier to fire up, and it's nice to have in your yard. But anyway, we reverse sear this thing, and we get this huge flame going. It's cool content, whatever. All the comments start rolling in like, I can't believe you put that on a propane grill. What were you thinking? Oh my gosh, you've ruined it. And, it turned into this whole thing. And I don't think it went like viral. Like, I don't think it was over 1 million, but if it wasn't, it was dang close. And it was just because of people coming after us. And this is when we first started. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to be careful with these people on the internet because they're going to come for you for anything they can.
They do come for you.
They're not face to face. So it's easy for people to be mean on the internet.
Well, plus, here's the they really think they're right, and you know what? Here's the deal: they probably really are right when it comes to like if you're trying to get your flavor from a gas grill. But here's the deal: they didn't see the. I'm assuming y'all cut this thing where they could see it got smoked and whatever else. But at the same time,
I did the whole video. Yeah. I did the whole we smoked it to 125 and then reverse seared it That was all in there.
That's what I'm saying. I do this all the time. Stupid. And I actually love, I've got a built-in gas grill. I love it. Especially for when I want to do chicken breast, because I have it down And I can do chicken breasts now in like 13 minutes from start to finish, and I can put like 10 of them out there, and they're already seasoned, they're already ready to go, and I put them, they plump up. The grill is so hot. It's like cooking hot and fast chicken. It just kind of sears and seals. It's moist. I don't know. It's just my favorite way to cook, especially at the house when I'm doing dinner at nighttime. I don't want to go fire up a smoker. I don't want to do any of that, right? I want to be able to cook what I want. Do the sides inside, come in, have a family dinner and whatever else. And when it comes to that, you honestly cannot beat. You can't beat it. So
I'm the same way, and it's funny. I'm probably going to get hate for this when this podcast gets published. But I love a standard steak. I'm not talking about a 3-pound tomahawk or anything like that. I'm just talking about like a normal old a ribeye or I like New York strips. I love strips. It's one of my favorite cuts. I love flat irons. I love them on a gas grill. My husband does a marinade, and he marinates them for a few hours, and he cooks them on the grill. And it's actually the very first thing my husband ever grilled for me when we first started dating was a New York strip marinated in A1 and Worcestershire sauce. And I know I'm going to get some hate for that one too.
I like that. I like the combo. Add a little mustard to it.
And he threw it on the gas grill and cooked it to a perfect, I think, medium rare, medium. Back then I think I was more into medium than I was medium rare. And it was one of the best steaks I've ever had. And honestly, I still love steaks on a gas grill. I have no shame in saying that. And it's so funny because I feel like so many people when they start getting into social media and becoming a content creator, whatever you want to call it, they kind of try to change what they've done to kind of fit the narrative of what's trending or what
Follow
people
the
think is cool or whatever. But man, that's I think you guys know me well enough to know that's never been my vibe. I'm always just gonna do what I do, and whether you like it or not, I don't really care. But I love a steak on a gas grill. I have zero shame in saying that, and they're fantastic.
Hank Hill would approve.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Taste the
keep
meat,
that
not
thing
the
on
heat.
me.
There you go.
No, listen, I think you're exactly right. First of all, most restaurants, when you go, most restaurants are cooking their steaks on some type of broiler anyways, and they're putting it back into a cast iron, and they're putting it in the oven, and they're doing a whole bunch of different ways of cooking these. So anybody that hates for some dumb shit like that, then I just kind of laugh and I guess you never had a steak at a restaurant. Have a nice day. See ya.
I think
I love those comments.
I'm before I started my page or my channel or whatever you want to call it, my multiple pages. I was never into social media. I didn't watch YouTube. I was never really into Instagram. I actually converted my old personal Instagram into my current Instagram page. So if you go to the bottom, it's just pictures of my baby and stuff. But I was just never into it and never really thought about it. And I just kind of did what I did. But the thing that I've noticed the most, especially recently, is that a lot of people are trying to gatekeep barbecue. And I think I very vocally have made myself kind of separated from that because people will be oh, that's a pellet smoker. It's not a smoker. Or that's a gas grill. That's crap. Or that's this. Or you're not trimming the way I trim. And you're not doing what these famous barbecue gods of YouTube are doing. That's not what Aaron Franklin does. That's not what Malcolm Reed does. And I get so sick of the gatekeeping because I feel it's just honestly, it's counterintuitive because barbecue is really about spending time with people that you love, cooking for groups because obviously you're not going to cook a big old primal hunk of meat for, a party of one, unless you're a content creator. But, the barbecue is all about kind of doing what works for you, infusing the flavors that you like, using the rubs that you like. People hating on people for using a prepackaged rubs versus making their own rubs. And I'm oh, come on. Is there anything else that you guys can decide to hate on? If somebody enjoys cooking on their pellet smoker or they prefer smoking on a traditional offset or they like using packaged rubs, or they like making their own rubs. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because they're enjoying the food that they're creating. And the fact that they're willing to put themselves out there and like film their food and post their food on the internet for, in my case, potentially like overnight, 1 million people have seen it. And you're like, well, that was unexpected. But
right.
It's like you're putting yourself out there and you're kind of showing something that you enjoy and you enjoy eating and you put a lot of time and effort and passion into. And all this gatekeeping is just, it drives me absolutely nuts because like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Here's the deal though.
People love to hate.
It does. But it does drive viewership when you have people going back and forth. It's also, at that point, you don't want to offend anybody, but you definitely want to I guess, really kind of educate, or not really, maybe not even educating at that point. Maybe just trying to be funny with your comebacks, which allows other people to jump on board and go back and forth. I love that part of it.
I like poking the bear, man. I like just
it's
tease
fun.
them. Like we post all kinds of stuff about pellet grills and giving them shit or whatever, especially James over here.
I know.
But then our next video is us cooking on a pellet grill.
Yeah.
It's like
Which
we
is
do one, then we go
we
back
go
and
back
forth.
and
John owns like 8 of them, and
Right.
James has 1 in his backyard.
Matt has 2 in his backyard.
yeah.
Alex has 1. I mean,
That's right.
I'd never owned a pellet smoker until my little social media hobby took off. And then Oklahoma Joe's reached out to me and they were like, hey, we'll send you a grill, any grill. What do you want? And my husband goes, why don't you get the pellet grill? And I was like, you want a pellet grill?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's like, yeah, we've never used one before. He's like, why not? It's free, And I was like, all right. So we try it out. And honestly, now I own 2. Now I just got a Camp Chef Woodwind. By the way, love that thing. Never used the Traeger. I know a few of you guys have Traegers. I've never used one, but I mean, obviously I can tell that good barbecue comes off of them. But I just honestly, the whole, I can set it and I don't have to sit there and add, a log to the fire every hour. I don't have to watch it as closely. It just kind of runs. I know that takes a lot of the the skill and the passion or whatever these people try to argue. But at the same time, when you're cooking as much barbecue as I am, I'm cooking multiple times a week because obviously I'm churning out content and doing all of that. There is something to be said about being able to just kind of set it and forget it. And I'm not going to lie, I've gotten beautiful smoke rings. Not that I care about smoke rings, but, beautiful smoke rings off pellet smokers. I do taste the smoky flavor. And I honestly, I'm a convert. And when I first started in social media, people would ask me what pellet smoker do you recommend? And I would always answer, I have no idea. I've never used a pellet smoker, but I never hated on them. I was never that kind of girl that was like, oh no, I'm a stick burner and I'm going to turn my nose up because I'm a traditionalist or whatever. I always kind of just said, I don't have any experience with them, but hey, go check out Kendrick Barbecue or whoever that, that's big into pellets and be like, go ask them because I think that they can give you a lot more guidance than I can. But I never hated on them. And then when I started using one, I was just like, oh my God.
Is Kendrick Barbecue using pellet smokers?
seriously? Have you not been on the internet?
He's
No.
sponsored by Traeger.
Yeah, he's strictly Traeger.
That's it, though?
Yeah.
He is Traeger. He is the Traeger guy, I feel
Mr.
like.
Traeger.
I knew like
Ambassador.
Meat Church was, but I didn't
Well,
know.
no.
Matt Pittman as well.
Yeah, Matt Pittman.
But Matt Pittman, he also uses other stuff. Like he actually has posts with some offsets and stuff now. But yeah,
Wait, does
Kendrick is
Matt
all he is.
Pittman use a pellet smoker?
Yeah,
He's
a lot of Traeger stuff.
exclusively
He's got his
Traeger.
own brand of pellets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did actually know he had his own brand of pellets. But you know,
Yeah.
every time, okay, I don't watch a lot of Meat Church content. Not that I have anything against him. I was never a YouTube watcher, so I wasn't like a loyal, Meat Church activist before I started all this. And the stuff I've seen from him has mostly been on that, he's got an offset sitting there in his backyard. It's a mill scale.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's beautiful, but
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him posting pellet content.
Yeah.
But again, that's a perfect example. Like two amazing pitmasters that create beautiful food. At least it's beautiful. I've never tasted it, but it looks good.
Yeah, but both those guys have skills at utilizing other forms of cooking, and I know Pat, geez, drawing a blank. Shit,
Matt.
I just got
Pat,
the P and the T's together. Yeah.
It's Pat.
Matt,
it's Pat.
if you look at his backyard, he has an egg, he has the Traeger, he has a Santa Maria style cooker, the flat top. He's got the offset. He has it all. I mean, I know the guy knows what he's doing when he's doing the barbecue, whatever. And I love his products. I love some of the Meat Church seasonings out there, the Holy Cow and some of the other stuff that he has out there. Hey, no knocking him, but the only thing I have a problem with Traeger is, and I'll put it out there to you guys.
You should put it out there right now.
I can't remember. Is it A before E or E before A? I misspell it all the time. Shit.
Oh, I'm the same way, but it'll correct you.
Yeah, I've spelt it enough times now. I think pellet, they're just great, especially if you're just learning. I mean, obviously you can turn out good barbecue, but if you're learning how to barbecue, learning how to manage your fire is just one less thing you have to try to figure out when you're first learning. Like you can learn all the other
most
stuff.
Important thing you can.
I'm sure it is.
learn.
That's fine. But if you're trying to figure that out, it's just one less thing. You figure out the rest of the shit, then you learn that. If you try to learn just the fire thing first, you've got so much other shit on your plate.
Well, yeah.
Well, and I mean,
Yeah,
fire
I agree with
management
you,
is
John.
barbecue 101. You know what I mean? Like, I think I've said that in multiple videos. Like, it really is. And it's funny, when I first started, you know me, I'm a pit master girl. I love or pit maker girl. I love my Magnum Sniper. I love my vaults. I love my pit maker pits. And I didn't really use a whole lot of other stuff. Like, we had a Weber kettle, and, we had, some backyard kind of grills. We didn't have anything really. We had our Weber, our Genesis, propane grill, but we didn't do a whole lot of, backyard grilling because we did most of our barbecue, on the competition circuit. So we had our pit makers. But then, all of a sudden, all these grill companies start reaching out to me, and they're like, can I send you a grill? And I'm like, I'm not going to say no to that. Well, now, it's funny, you were describing Matt's backyard. I think mine looks probably the same because I'm thinking right now, I've got 9 grills / smokers in my yard. I've got another one on the way. I've got 4 on the barbecue trailer. I mean, I'm getting to the point where it's like I've literally gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't want any more grills. I can't take any more grills. I've got one of every style though. I've got the egg, I've got the Blackstone, I've got the master built, the gravity fed charcoal grill. Love that thing, by the way. If you guys haven't checked it out, that thing is
I've definitely checked it out. Does it get to temperature as fast as they say it does?
Oh my God, bro. I don't want to turn this into a master build ad because I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I did get the grill for free. I will say that. But bro, that thing is literally with the exception of my new Camp Chef Woodwind, because I'm really falling in love with that thing. But the master build is probably the easiest grill to grill on. If somebody were to message me and say, hey, I really want to get into grilling, what would you recommend? I would say, Weber kettle, because
Absolutely.
the Weber kettle is
It's always
probably
the
the greatest
first.
grill
Yeah.
ever created.
Mm-hmm.
But my very second response would be the Masterbuilt Gravity series because it literally you fill it up with charcoal, right? And it holds 8 to 12 hours depending on whether you're using lump or briquettes. I use lump, so I get about 8-9 hours out of a full thing, smoking it around 225, 250, maybe up to 275. You can probably still get 7-8 hours out of it. But literally lighting it, you take a couple of fire starters, and I use the ones that look like square pieces of cardboard,
Yeah.
and you stuff them in there, you light it, you shut the little door, and you push the button. It's electric, so you plug it in, you set the little button, and you say, I want to smoke at 250, whatever, and all of a sudden this fan starts running, and the whole thing is up to temp in literally maybe 5-10 minutes. I was going to say 5, but I'm going to say 10 just to make sure I'm covering my bases. But I mean, I'm telling you, and it holds temp perfectly the entire time it's cooking. And I literally can start it without getting my hands dirty because you can literally pour the charcoal into the top. And, unless you have to get down into the bag because you got a big old piece of, because, I use lump. So there are times when you get a big old piece of lump, you got to kind of move with your hand. But for the most part, you just pour the charcoal in there, light it, and set it, and you're done. And it's honestly we talked about doing some kind of like brand deal or some kind of sponsorship, and then they had a buyout. They got bought by another company, and all this stuff went through. But I mean, I cannot speak highly enough about that thing because it is so easy.
No, right. So for the people that don't know, Masterbuilt, they've been making smokers for a very, very long time. The one that you're referring to is the gravity fed charcoal. For the charcoal basket on one side, I think you can put some actually wood in there at the bottom as well.
You could probably get away with chips or chunks. I wouldn't throw like a freaking log of pecan in there or anything.
No, but I think isn't there a door right there where you can add some small pieces of green, not green, but seasoned wood that you can add right there. Just add a couple of pieces to kind of get a little more wood action going in it.
What I do is I pour it into it's like a hopper. I call it a hopper. I think they call it a hopper.
Yeah, it is.
If it's not, that's what I'm gonna call it. So what I'll do is I'll throw in a little bit of charcoal, add a few, wood chunks or wood chips, add a little more charcoal, kind of layer it.
Yep.
So I'm getting a little bit of like wood smoke in there, but
you don't get any of that. Do you get that dirty? Look, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. This dirty charcoal. When you like
the startup charcoal
flavor,
yeah.
When you light charcoal and it may look like it's like hot enough to cook something on, but the charcoal really hasn't had time to really burn through, so you get that kind of dirtier smoke looking stuff. Does it look like that or no?
No, and honestly, that's so funny that you bring that up because I'd actually forgotten about this, but that was my very first, that was my skepticism about it when they reached out to me because I'd never heard of it. I didn't do a lot of grill research before the whole social media thing. I just kind of liked my pit makers and my Webers, and that's what I used. I never really thought of I wasn't looking for the newest, coolest thing, right? So then they reached out to me, and I was like, okay. So I start reading about it, and that's the first thing I asked my husband. I said, if that's sitting in there, isn't that going to kind of smolder a little bit? Aren't we going to get some dirty smoke off of that? Isn't it going to be, is it going to smolder? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, Masterbuilt's a good brand. He's like, we can try it out and see what we think. And honestly, I don't know how they do it. I think it has something to do with the way their fan and their temperature gauges are set up. Now, I don't know what happens when the fan or the temp gauge goes out because eventually, everything breaks eventually.
Right.
But I mean, I've done probably, I think not 100, but I mean, at least 40 or 50 cooks on the thing. And I have zero issues. And in the beginning when it's firing up, you get a little bit of that, kind of like a whiter colored smoke, but it's the same as you would get on an egg or a kettle or your offset, your beautiful big red, cherry red offset. You're still going to get a little bit of that when it's first firing up. But no, I was really pleasantly surprised to find that wasn't the case at all with this.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out because I don't know. It's one of those things that I think having in the backyard is just super easy, super fun, and you're not dealing with mushy little pellets that can just expand after we get water on them or whatever.
I do remember the first day this thing came out.
Shoot me a text, and I'll see if I can put you in touch with my contact over there.
Definitely, yeah. Let us know. If you don't mind, can we switch gears? Maybe go over a little competition with you guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, how long? You said 10 plus years. Y'all been running the comp circuit.
Not quite 10.
Okay.
We started I always say almost a decade because it just sounds a lot better than 8-9 years.
Sure.
But we started in 2014, which was the year that we actually started dating.
Nice.
And one of my coworkers at the time, who was really good friends with my father. My father works in the same industry as me, so we've got that connections, whatever. There's this big cook-off every year that is based in my industry, and I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to dox myself, but it's big here, and we went to it, and the guy who was cooking in it, he invited us to cook with him, and we didn't really know a whole lot about competition style barbecue, but this guy's really big, especially IBCA. IBCA is kind of like what he does. He does some KCBS, but mostly IBCA style cook-offs. And he kind of took us under his wing and explained, this is what I do. And he's Pitmaker, so that's probably part of the reason we use Pitmaker. And he just kind of taught us about, what do they mean when they say they want, what are the turn-in requirements, and how thick do the slices of brisket have to be, and how do the ribs have to be set up in the turn-in tray. And he actually gave us the recipe to his favorite open category turn-in. And, he taught us how to make chicken lollipops, which I hate because they're so much work and not worth the work at all, but they look pretty. But he taught us how to do those. And I don't know, we just started, I think that
it's addictive,
me and
right?
Andy do what?
I said it's addictive, right?
You get that first walk, it's over.
Well, you don't even have to walk,
Well,
right? You just have to just see the show, right? Once you see the show and you're a part of it, you're like, hell yeah, I want to do this again.
If you see the show a lot of times, then you're going to be like, man, I don't want to do this no more. And not get a walk.
I think what happened was honestly, like, we hit hard at that comp. We got, like, first place ribs, first place open, third place brisket, like, second place chicken. We hit, like, hard grand champ. Right. And it was kind of like, it is. Lose. It's like addictive. That's a perfect way to explain it, because it was like our very first competition. And we were just hit after hit after hit and getting called up and getting to go and grab that award. And you know how the judges like pull you to the side and take a photo or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
And it was just kind of like, oh my God, this
I love
is
it.
freaking cool.
Am I a rock star?
You're like, do you want me to sign autographs later?
I'm the greatest cook alive.
Work? Yeah. So that's pretty much how it happens for everyone, I think. I mean, like my very first competition, second place brisket. I only cooked brisket. I got second place brisket out of 60-something teams. I had a guy showing me the ropes. After that point, I was like, I am unbeatable. Nobody can beat me. Which, I'm not going to share that story with y'all. That's actually, I'll keep that one private.
Well, I had a totally different experience. The first cook that I ever went to, like, we didn't do shit.
You got drunk as shit, didn't you?
Yeah, we all got too drunk.
Yeah.
Over seasoned.
I've definitely been there a million times, but
and like it sucked. Like we put so much love into this and like so much time into it, and we walked up there and like nothing.
Yeah, it happens so.
And I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But hey, we
fought it up the second time with, several walks. So
right,
that made it worth it.
I've been there before, as recent as end of last year. I think probably, I don't know, September, October. We went to a cook-off and we tried a few new things, which is always dangerous,
Yeah. Try something new the day of the cook-off.
That always happens.
Perfect. I'm a big proponent of that idea. Yeah. Okay.
But we didn't walk, and it was shitty because it had been so long since we'd been to a cook-off and not walked at all. We were holding all of our tickets. Well, nowadays they scan everything. I still call them tickets because back in the day we used to have those actual paper tickets.
Oh yeah, they still do that. A lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the scanned ones.
Yeah.
But it was a crappy feeling because it was just kind of like, what the heck? And then it was kind of like we kind of re-registered and said, no, why are we trying to switch it up? Like I said earlier, like I've got the trophies to prove that what we do works. Like, why are we trying to switch it up now? And I think honestly, maybe social media played a part into that. Like, hey, let me try to use this rub, or let me try to do this and whatever. And it didn't turn out right. But I think like what was funny about like starting, really doing a lot more cook-offs, because it was me and my husband. It was before my son was born, so we were able to just go for a weekend and go out of town and cook and do everything. Is we kind of figured out like what each of us were good at. So he's like the rib master, and he's the brisket guy. Like I'm okay at brisket. Like if I cook a brisket on my own, it's going to be still better than, most briskets that like somebody in their backyard is cooking. I think, at least, my opinion. But I am not like, I don't create that brisket that's like a first place brisket. But when it comes to chicken, and my chicken is like my pride and joy. Like I've got that down to a science. And so it's kind of like we almost go into it with our own kind of things in mind. Like, he's focused on these things, I'm focused on these things, and we will help each other, like, hey, we're rapping, we need help rapping, we need to do this, we need that. But at the end of the day, we kind of have our own categories. And then ancillary categories are like my shining star besides my chicken. Like if there's a Bloody Mary or a margarita, like I'm taking home first, like dessert.
Yeah.
Chili. I see chili in a lot of cook-offs. And actually the very first time I ever cooked chili from scratch, ever in my entire life, was at an IBCA cook-off where that was an ancillary turn-in. And we had to do it, or we didn't have to do it, but we paid for it, so we were going to do it. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And I put bison and beef, and I put all these different peppers and whatever. And they start calling awards. They call 10th through 1st. So they're calling 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th. By the time they get to 5th, I'm like, all right, dang it. My first chili I ever cooked, but it's not a winner. I'm kind of like, yeah, well, we'll win the next one. Well, they get to 1st, and they call the numbers for 1st. And I'm not even really looking at my ticket, because at this point, it was my first time cooking chili. I was convinced that there's no way that I hit 1st. And everything's quiet. And I was like, huh. And so they call the numbers again. I look down at my ticket, and I stand up so goddamn fast. I'm like, oh, my God, that's me. And I
nice.
Go up to the front. I walk up there. They're handing me the trophy, and I look the guy in the eyes, and I say, that was the first time I ever made chili. And the look on his face, I swear to God, I will never forget it in my entire life. But he was just like, are you kidding me, lady?
Nice. Yeah.
But it was so cool. It was literally probably one of my most fond memories of a barbecue cook-off wasn't even, traditional barbecue. It was just the fact that I knew that my flavors and my food and my ability to kind of create food was worth something, was that day when I was like, wow, I made chili and I did it,
Yeah, and you know that there was some poor SOB, they're just shoving his chili gear in the back of his truck, just cussing first time I ever cooked chili.
Ever. He's talking to himself, right? He's driving home. That's just
I did not
my first time cooking.
For the other competitors to hear. I want to point that out. I did not I wasn't up there screaming I've never made chili before. I wasn't an asshole about it.
Yeah. No, I know. Hey, either way, it's still funny.
Oh yeah.
What just happened?
Well, I was going to ask you. So we see a lot of the content that Jess Prowls puts out there on her social media, and she has a lot of backlash from people, whether it be a male audience or not. Basically questioning her expertise and her ability to cook and this and that. And with your I guess your expertise and your background in competition cooking, and now you have put it out there for everybody to see in your social medias, and you've had some great success. Have you seen some of that kind of she says kind of mansplaining?
Oh, because it's a chick. They're
there's a girl I can't believe
the good old boys type mentality,
right? Which is total bullshit,
right? The sweetheart. Let me tell you how it's done.
Yeah.
You get any of that?
I absolutely get that, and it's funny. I was actually DMing Jess about, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, and she had posted a video basically with some audio that says, "Oh look, a man is trying to explain to me how to do something I know how to do, whatever."
Yeah.
And somebody tagged me in the comments and said, "I actually follow Married to Barbecue, and she's taught me so much." And Jess replied, "Well, yeah, she's great, but you should follow me too." And I thought her response was so funny, so I screenshotted it, DM'd her, and I was like, "This is hilarious," whatever. I think she and I have very, very different styles.
Oh yeah.
Kind of the way we approach things. I kind of consider myself more of a teacher, and I try to teach people what I do, and she is more she's just she knows her shit, and she knows her shit, and I love that about her. She will stand there and be like, "I know what I'm talking about, don't question me." And I question myself, sometimes. But I do get a ton of those comments, especially when we started out, because I mean, you guys remember, you guys followed me very early in the beginning. I think we became friends when I first started doing social media. And back then, I didn't own a ring light. I didn't own a tripod. I filmed everything with my phone in my hand. And so a lot of times I'd be like, all right, Andy, you cook and I'm going to film it. And then I'll do the voiceover. And I would get all these comments that were like, you know, oh, you're saying we and you're saying I, and you're not actually doing anything. Your husband's doing everything. And man, it tore me down at first because it sucked, because it was like, I do know what I'm doing, and that's shitty, you know, that you're gonna be like, oh, it's a man's hands doing it. I'm like, well, yeah, we're husband and wife, we do a lot of things together, but you know, over the last probably 4 to 5 months, we've kind of transitioned to I'm doing, you know, 90% of the content by myself because my husband just is sick of it. Honestly, he's like, I don't want to film every weekend. I don't want to do all this. Like, you know, you handle it, and he'll help me. Obviously, like when, you know, we want to do things. But I've literally gotten comments that were like, I know this brisket sucked because a woman cooked it, and I know. I mean, especially on YouTube, like the comments I get on YouTube, like I won't repeat them here because it's a podcast, but like comments about like, you know, female sexuality and things that happen with females and whatever, and like just terrible, disgusting comments. And it was just like, wow, you're really that intimidated by the fact that a woman can sit here and cook a brisket better than you could ever imagine. And like, you know, at first it bothered me, and now I kind of feel empowered by it because I genuinely think that the reason that I was able to gain so many followers and gain such a community like of people is that I'm not just, you know, a competition barbecuer. I'm not just a girl doing all of this, but I'm a female that can hold my own with the guys. You guys know. You guys have cooked with me.
I totally agree with you. But if you think about this, like, look, and I think in today's age, like, first of all, like, it's hard to say anything without a backlash, whatever. But somebody's being like like some guy's being like what would you call it? A misogynist or whatever,
chauvinistic,
right? A chauvinistic pig,
peckerhead,
or whatever, a horrible person. At the same time, you have to remind them, like, dude, one of the best pit masters here in Texas is a woman.
We talking Tootsie,
and she's 80-something years old.
Right. So now what? Tootsie. Oh,
so now
I
what?
Love her.
You know, and that's. I think that people just here's the deal. There's a difference between Texas barbecue and the rest of America. I'm sorry, there just really is, and I think that people from other states, other regions, they look at something and they're like, that's not the way.
They'll disagree.
We're saucing. They're doing all this other stuff, and we're like, I think I don't think. I think if you show me a fully glazed brisket, I'm gonna throw you a donut and say, do this one next. You know, I don't know what to say. Like, it's just not. That's not my barbecue. You know, and I mean, you're here in Texas. You know Texas barbecue. I don't know. Like, haters gonna hate, man. But here's the deal. It does drive the viewership a little bit, right? So at the same time,
well, I think a lot of people are like, a lot of people are intrigued by the fact that I'm a woman, and then when I do my barbecue tips and tricks, where I kind of dip into like some of the meat science and like the actual like, you know, technique and why we do the techniques, and I'm describing it in the way that I do, and I happen to be a female, like I think that actually like works in my favor more than it works against me. I mean, there's obviously going to be people out here that
it probably works in your favor more that you're a girl than if you were a guy.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, like, maybe you smoke a better brisket than me, but I look a hell of a lot better than you do doing it.
That's what I'm saying. Well, even take looks out of it, like, just the fact, and which by the way, it's is well deserved or whatever, right? But barbecuing is not a man or a woman thing, right? It's for it has this stigma of being a man thing. Like, I will go outside and I will provide, you know, a fire, and I will cook this meat for you and whatever else. But it's not a man thing. And I don't know if this was on the podcast we talked about this or somewhere else. But I was talking about back in the day where you had, like, you know, even you go back in the, I want to say caveman style or whatever else, but a woman was was tending the fire and cooking the food, and like probably the original barbecuer.
I think we were talking about this with Meathead when we were at the in BBQ.
That's right. Yeah. So, a woman was the original barbecuer. Man was the guy out like foraging and fighting off whatever and to try to killing the animal. But at the same time, So
I mean, you don't even have to go back that far. I mean, you can go back to probably like the 40s and 50s, where women were manning the barbecue pits. And I don't think it was like until like maybe 50s.
I think it was like 50s. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I think it's like 50s, 60s. And then we started getting the outdoor Weber areas because back in the day, I mean, a lot of the cooking happened. The women, they also did the barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's so funny is like I think
just no remote controls.
I mentioned like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I started doing almost all of the cooking for our page. Like my husband was just kind of like over it. He's not a social media guy. He doesn't want to be filmed. He likes competition barbecue. He likes doing what he does. He doesn't want a camera in his face and all that, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of took it all over. And I'm not going to lie, like, and this is going to sound really funny, but the one thing that I think I miss the most is my husband just, firing up the pit, firing up the charcoal, getting his hands dirty and getting everything going. And like, honestly, like that's been the part that's been the hardest adjustment for me is like, and I know that sounds so funny because I am a chick, but I mean, why would I ever do any of that if I had a husband to do it for me? You know what I mean? And like, it's funny because we kind of do balance and like, we're not, I'm probably more manly than a lot of girls on the planet when it comes to barbecue, but I still don't particularly like, messing up my nails and getting, charcoal all under everything and whatever.
Right.
And
I'm the same way.
I kind of like when my husband does stuff like that.
Yeah. So John likes it when Denny does a lot of that stuff for him as well.
Yeah, if you could just turn on the Traeger for me, that'd be great. I don't want to break the nail.
Okay, yeah. If I was smoking on a Traeger, I'd be like, all right, I don't need you. But
so John's wife, she runs the page Chicks That Smoke.
She knows.
Yeah, she knows.
Oh, I know, and I love her rub that she did with Sucklebusters. I'm actually almost out of it. I need to buy a new one because that rub was, oh my God, so good.
Wow, thank you for saying that. It was something that... Pretty much something that we all created. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Collaboration.
I'm just joking.
We all
I had a viral video with it. The first time I used it, it went viral. I was so happy. I was like, yay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
right,
man.
Well, let me jump in there. Let me ask a couple of questions because I had these questions prepared.
Oh, you went.
Did you?
In the beginning.
You didn't go freestyle?
In the beginning, icebreaker type questions.
Okay, well, it's
and
not
then
the
we just
anymore,
rolled in with this whole interview like we know her.
Oh,
well, we do.
We actually do. So that made it a whole lot easier.
Listen, this is a drinking podcast, and we didn't
a little
tell
late
you
to say that too.
Already, if you should have a drink, you should have got one already. I'm sure you heard the pop tops or whatever else.
It's too late.
But
you're really
it's not
late.
too late. I'm just saying, you've got a couple of minutes to catch up.
That last pop was me opening another beer.
There it is.
So
okay.
Don't
Good
worry,
deal.
guys.
All
I
right.
think you guys know me well enough. You guys have actually hung out with me in person. I think you guys know me well enough to know that I have a beer in my hand.
Right. Hell yeah.
Love it. All right,
Yeah.
James, what's the
Is
icebreaker?
it an IPA?
Say no.
No.
Questions?
Oh,
Believe
thank
it or
God.
not, and you
Table?
guys know I love my IPAs.
That is true.
I love my freaking Hopadillo. No, I'm actually drinking Michelob Ultra because I knew I was going to be on a podcast that would be, posted on the internet for who knows how long, eternity. And I
Right.
was like, I should probably not be drinking IPAs because I don't want to make a fool of myself.
Right. You don't want to say something. That's
the best part.
Hey, the best thing is that we have a wonderful producer in John that deletes and edits all the stupid shit that we say.
Only the stupid shit that I say. Everybody else
Right.
stays in.
Okay.
But I texted him earlier and I was like, John, I'm nervous. And he was like, don't be nervous. I was like, bro, I'm like legit nervous.
No.
Like, he's like, but you know us. I was like, no, but
I think what's best about the podcast and the best about these guys and especially yourself and the guests that we have on is just a conversation. And we're just having a conversation, talking barbecue, shooting shit, drinking beer, and it's a fun time. And hopefully the listeners that are listening enjoyed the same. All right,
Love
so
it.
I had a couple of questions. these are kind of typical icebreaker questions that we ask some of the guests. I know we've kind of fallen off the ship a little bit. We have not asked some of the previous guests that we've had on the show. But let me ask you, I'm going to give you a list of 3 questions. Just a story that comes right off the top of your mind. Just fire with it. So we have the first time getting drunk. We have the first car. And the first concert. Any stories, any memorable stories pop up over that?
The most vivid story would be the first time getting drunk, but I don't know if I want to share that with the whole world.
Oh, you absolutely do.
It's funny. No, it's funny. I was probably 16, 17 years old. I was in high school, but I was in the later years of high school. And I got invited to a party. And I could drive at that point. So I drove to the party and didn't realize there would be alcohol there. I'd never drank before. And I think I was probably 17. And they had berry-flavored Sky vodka and Sprite. And I drank it, and it tasted good, so I just kept drinking it. And then all of a sudden, I was throwing up, and I was miserable, and I was like, this sucks. And I remember thinking in my head, like, I don't like alcohol, I don't like being drunk, this is terrible. But then it came to the point in the night where I was like, okay, I need to go home. And, of course, like, you know, I didn't want to drive because... you know, obviously I'm not going to drive when I'm throwing up from alcohol. Smart. So I call my mom, and I call her and I say, Mom, you know, and it wasn't even my phone because my phone was dead at the time. And I call her from some random person's phone, and I'm like, Mom, I've been drinking and I know I shouldn't have, but I don't think I should drive. Can you come get me? And then the freaking heavens open up and it starts pouring down rain, thunder, lightning, whatever, you know. My dad's out of town, and my little sister, who's about 5 years younger than me, so let's say she was 11 or 12 at this time, you know, she has to get woken up, get put into the car by my mom. My mom comes to pick me up. I'm standing under an umbrella with some random squirrely little nerdy dude, like, not even, like, just some random dude. And I get into the car and she goes, well, who is that? And I go, I don't even know, Mom. I don't even know my ass from my head at this point. I don't know what's going on. And she takes me home. And then the next day I have to work. And I worked at a Chinese food restaurant. I was like a waitress or something at a Chinese food restaurant. And she wakes me up and she goes, she thinks I'm going to be hungover. Of course, it was the first time I was ever drinking, so I really wasn't hungover.
She's banging pots of pans around, just like, wake up. Oh, hey,
yeah, that nice-spirited 17-year-old liver was still doing its job. And she wakes me up and she takes me to my car, and she had ended up lying to my sister and told my sister that I had food poisoning. And, about a week later, and by the way, mind you, she never told my dad about this. That's an important portion of this story.
Yeah.
So my dad comes back into town not knowing anything, and about a week later, my sister comes home, and apparently the girl's house that I was at, that was having the party, had little sisters that were my sister's age. And they were there for the party, and they knew that I was drunk and throwing up and etc. And they told my sister, oh, yeah, your sister was so drunk, she was throwing up. And my sister defended me to the T. And she said, no, she wasn't. My sister would never drink. She had food poisoning. And she defended me for probably like 3-4 years after that, defended me. And then finally we tell them, yeah, I did drink that night, and it was really embarrassing, whatever. We finally tell my dad, and my dad's like, well, why didn't you call me? I'm like, you were out of town, bro. You weren't there to have my back. And my sister literally, now I'm 32 years old, and my sister at 26 or whatever she is, she still brings that up to me to this day. Like, I trusted you and I defended you and you lied to me.
Let her
and
down
like that was my first story of drinking.
Nice.
That still gets brought up occasionally in family gatherings.
That's
that like
awesome.
I lied to my little sister and we My mom helped me lie, and my dad was pissed, and my sister's pissed, and nobody is ever going to be okay. But yeah, that was my very first time ever drinking. It was traumatizing.
You know what I got from that? I got that she was young enough to have a cell phone when she was in high school. Like, that didn't exist yet when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I got my first cell phone in 7th grade or 8th grade, but it was like one of those old flip phones where if you pressed the wrong button and tried to connect to the internet, your parents would kill you because it cost a lot of money, and you had to pay per text.
Oh, yeah. I remember those days, too.
But no, what I get away from this is, like, I tell my daughter, she's 17, or close to 17. I'm like, if you get too drunk to drive, give us a call.
Yeah. No,
Like,
we all say
So,
that.
yeah, but my
Always
mom-
make me
sure.
pissed off when we do it.
No,
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
No,
gonna
my
be
mom-
I'm gonna be mad when I
my
get the
mom-
call, but I'm not gonna get on your ass like you made the right choice.
Yeah.
No, my mom never told me that. My mom was basically just a abstain or die kind of mom. And not that I'm faulting her. My mom's an amazing mom, but she was just kind of like a don't do it. It was never a call me if you need me kind of relationship.
Right. It's
And
like,
then
I don't
she
know if that
she
works.
held it over my head for years.
Yeah.
Held it over my head for years. And I'm like, Mom, now that I've got a kid, I'm like, I would handle that a lot differently.
Right. No, I don't know if that really works. Like, it's like abstinence over, like, just be careful. Like,
It's
use
gonna
precaution.
happen. It's gonna happen.
And here's the deal: these kids, man, they're like, how old is your kid, Breanna?
My son is 4.
4. Okay, so
He's
4.
not drinking yet.
He's not drinking.
No, not
so
yet.
mine is 25. James wants to raise his hand real quick. Go ahead.
I feel like I could raise my hand to ask a question here.
You don't
Like,
raise
have
it
to,
higher.
James. You just got to
Right,
talk.
yeah. I was like, had my hand raised, and,
I'm sorry.
and Jan just
Yeah,
jumps
he
right in
does
there
that
with the,
sometimes. He does it to me,
the
too.
other questions or whatever.
So 25. I'm sorry. You want to say something, James?
Well, no, I lost my whole train of thought now.
Man, I cannot believe, like, when my son is 25, I'm going to be 52, 53.
Oh no,
Jeez.
I'm 43. Yeah, son's 25, daughter's 20. We're going this weekend, 21st birthday, Nashville. What's up? We're going to see you here tomorrow. And then 14. And if you don't think right now the 14-year-old is not thinking about drinking, whatever, or whatever, it's there, right? These kids are pushing the envelope 24/7. So, yes, you will handle this way differently than your mom did. I hope you don't just go, show up in the middle of the night. It's pouring down. Your son's out there. You're like, get in the car. Who the hell is that girl? You know what? I would love it. I would love it in like 10 years, 15 years from now that I actually hear that story and go, you know what? I pulled up. It was raining. My son's out there. And I was like, who the hell is that? Get in the car. All right? So it'd be like a full
In my
circle.
mom's defense, like, I was her first child. Obviously, I'm the oldest. And, when she was in high school, she has told me multiple times she didn't have a whole bunch of friends. She wasn't like, she wasn't like, completely unpopular or anything, but like she didn't have the same high school experience as I did. And so like maybe like, that wasn't really a thing for her. And so for her, it was just kind of like, I want to protect my child at any cost. And I don't think she was thinking in that moment about, what's better in the long run? This is a good teaching moment. She was thinking, I had to take your sister out of bed and come pick you up, and you've been drinking, and you're 16 or 17 years old. And, she was thinking in a scared mom kind of way. She wasn't thinking in like a, what's the best way to rear my daughter? It was like, God, what the hell? My daughter's drinking for the first time,
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. No, that's the way it is. James, you had a question you wanted to ask. Did you?
I did remember it. So,
you did. Go ahead.
Let me circle back around.
Yeah,
that's terminology that we use.
Circle back
in the podcast.
Circle the
industry.
wagons.
Circle it around. Yep.
We use that in corporate America too.
Yeah,
correct. That's where I picked it up as well.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I thought the nerdy guy with holding the umbrella was going to be like, you're going to come back with the stories like, that was my husband. I
married him.
And I
married
him.
No.
But that never happened. So,
I did meet my husband when I was in high school, but no, that was not the guy.
Dang it.
Okay.
The second thing is that I'm probably going to get food poisoning tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Mom, it's food poisoning.
I had it
Now you're
last
talking to your
weekend.
wife.
The weekend after that, it's going to happen.
It's
again.
food poisoning. Sorry,
Yeah.
babe. I don't know what it got
Calling
me
to
again.
work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, Breanna. Hey, we thank you for taking time out of your schedule to sit down with around the round table here and discuss a little barbecue with us. This is, I guess, the portion of the podcast that we just opened up to you. So this is your time to, if there's anything you want to discuss, or if there's any questions that you may have, or if there's any outlets, social media wise, that you want to direct everybody to go to. We're opening it up to you.
Oh wow, put me on the spot. No,
Yes, spotlight.
I honestly I think the biggest thing that I want people to take away from like kind of this and like maybe getting to know me better and getting to like know more about me is that like I think at the end of the day is like I'm so thankful for, you know, this opportunity and like getting to show something that I'm so passionate about and having people actually be interested in it. You know, a lot of people don't ever get that opportunity in their lifetime to kind of share their passion with, you know, such a big crowd. And I'm not the biggest TikTok creator in the world, but I've gained, you know, a large following. I guess I hate following. I like to say I made 700,000 friends, you know, but it's like, it's nice to be able to like kind of share that with a lot of people and have people honestly take my opinion seriously and think about what I do. As far as like things coming up, I think the biggest thing that I'm really focusing on right now is I'm currently writing for a website called smokedbarbecuesource.com, and it's an established website. It's been around for years, and I think they have about a million hits a month. So it's you know, it's a legit website. But I got brought on to I'm an author for that site now, and so I do blogs, I do recipe development, I also do videos for their social media. And actually, the last 2 videos that they've posted of mine have gone viral on TikTok, like 2 million, 3 million, or 2 million and 1 million or something like that views. So that's exciting. But I think that's really kind of where I'm having the most fun right now is that I get to not only share my content on my channels, but I also get kind of a creative outlet where I can write and explain some of the theories behind what I do. Like I did this great article, you know, the styles of Texas barbecue, because people say Texas barbecue and they immediately think Aaron Franklin style Central Texas barbecue. But, you know, there's East Texas and South Texas, and there is, you know, there's so many different parts of Texas that have different styles of barbecue. And I think, you know, getting to write articles like that and getting to put stuff like that out there is something that I'm really leaning into and I'm really enjoying doing, because it just gives me the chance to spend more than a 60-second video where I'm trying to explain something is a lot different than getting to write an entire blog post about it. But yeah, I think that's probably like the biggest thing that I've got up and coming that I'm really, really excited about. It's kind of like a little bit of a passion project, you know?
I love that. That's something that we all think about and talk about, whatever. And maybe not all of us, but you know, John is a great writer, and I really feel like he could do more of that for us. But he doesn't have enough time in his day.
Lazy.
I know. But no, seriously, I think that's awesome, because to sit there and work on your own blog. I mean, anytime you put yourself out there like that, whether it be barbecue, a picture, a video, your words, I mean, that is something that just, it lasts forever, right? And if one person gets something from that article or something that you wrote and put a video out with, I think you've won, and it sounds like you're winning with millions of views on that what was it called? BBQ Nation?
Barbecue smoke?
Smokedbarbecuesource.com.
Okay.
Smoked barbecue. Okay. I'm gonna look them up.
But I think you just like literally hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like you just described exactly why. I mean, money aside, obviously, I'm not. You know,
Sure.
I'm making money off social media, obviously. So there's a financial benefit to it. But I think the thing that I get the most joy out of is the fact that I'm able to teach people things, but I'm also able to like like I've done some videos where, I'm like my busy mom meals where it's not even barbecue. It's just me cooking in my kitchen. And I have had those videos get millions and millions of views, and people will watch them and say, oh, hey, I'm going to try this. And I get, really excited, like, yay, somebody's going to try my recipe. And then maybe like a week later, they'll come back, and I probably have had hundreds, if not maybe thousands, honestly, of people come back and say, I made this and I loved it and my family loved it, and now we're going to make it all the time. Or people watch me smoke a pork butt the way I smoke a pork butt, and people say, I tried this and it was the best pork butt I've ever smoked. Thank you so much. That honestly is worth, like, don't get me wrong, I love the brand deals. I love the money. I love all of that. But at the end of the day, I think the thing that I get the most personal satisfaction from is people when they come back and they make a point, or they cook what I cooked and they tag me in it. Like they post a video or a photo on Instagram or whatever. And they're like, I got this from Married to Barbecue and she like taught me how to do this and I loved it and blah, blah, blah. Like I get so much just genuine joy out of being able to positively influence people's, whether it be their opinions about barbecue or their actual cooking styles or just the recipe that I created. And when people actually go and do that, there's nothing in the world that makes me happier than that feeling, honestly, at this point in my life, with the exception of course, my son, because he makes me happier than anything in the world.
Right. No, definitely. I you know what? You can hear it in your voice, and I think that's probably the really coolest part about being able to blog about something, because you can say it or you can do a video, but sometimes it's really hard to articulate exactly how you feel and whatever. And some people are really good writers, and they're able to put it all out there. When you're 1,000 words or whatever it is. I'm sure with your content, if you have a word limit or anything like that, but at the same time, you're able to put it out there where some people can look at something and do it. Some people can read about it and do it. I would love to maybe you do an article for us one day. I don't know. Who knows? We'll commission a Grab on the Brisket. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely love that. Like, I'm not in any exclusivity kind of thing. I love Smoke Barbecue Source. I love what they do. I love writing for them and all of that. But I'm more than happy to whether it be, writing for you guys or, helping you guys with your website or helping you with marketing or whatever it may be. I think that finally like really goes back into kind of the way I interact with other creators, especially since I've been kind of like more involved in Instagram. In the last few months, I've really kind of leaned into Instagram, and I've had some success there, but I've also gained a lot of like friendships and a lot of people in the barbecue community. And I find that the barbecue community, especially on Instagram, not saying that the TikTok barbecue community isn't strong, but Instagram is just a little bit different because the ability to DM a little bit better and all of that. People will come to me and they'll say, hey, this brand offered me X amount of dollars for this, and that, and they're asking for this, they're asking for that, and I can kind of guide them and say, hey, I actually think it's probably worth this, or hey, they want to whitelist it, they want to put promotional dollars behind that content, like you got to charge more for that. And I guide a lot of people and I tell them, hey, this is what you should be making and this is what you should be doing. And it sounds silly, like you shouldn't give that away because, why don't you just steal that brand deal out from underneath them and go write it yourself? But I actually get a lot of joy out of helping other people be successful. People ask me all the time, like, how did you grow so fast on TikTok? And how, lately, my Instagram just, kind of blew up in a matter of a few months. Not blew up. I mean, I've only got 40-something thousand, but it grew pretty quickly, and people ask me, like, how are you doing this? How is this happening? And I share everything. I'm very, very open, and I never, like I said earlier, I don't try to gatekeep barbecue, and I don't try to gatekeep, being an influencer or a content creator. Like, I think there's enough room for everybody to be successful in the space, and if I can help somebody else kind of get to that next level, like, I don't care if there's any money involved. I just get so much personal joy and satisfaction out of like being able to kind of help the people in the community around me.
Nice. Hey, very cool, Breanna. Seriously, very cool. I'm super excited that you had time to come on with us. We thank you so much. For you guys, please check out Married to Barbecue.
We'll have all the links in the description.
Yeah, definitely. We'll plug all your social medias. And, yeah, just keep doing what you do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys taking some time to talk to me tonight. This was a lot of fun, honestly.
Awesome. Definitely going to do it again.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back for Married to Barbecue 2.0.
Part 2.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Right.
If we do that, we're going to play the theme song to Married with Children, I think.
No, we're not.
No, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Okay. All right.
You got to pay like 10 grand. What do you call it? Copyright?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Y'all have a great night.
Bye, Breanna.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, man. I mean,
she's passionate about it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, she made a comment earlier about, that she could, she's like, I'm a talker and whatever. You know what? That's what you need. You need to be a talker, especially in social media and whatever else. And she's not shy in any way, James.
Well, she's just passionate about it.
Again. Yeah, I love it. You know what? And you know what? She is. I bet she's a great writer for it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what else she's going to be doing.
It's super awesome for her to come onto the podcast. Really admire her and her social media business. I guess you would say.
It's a business
that she's created.
Yeah, it's a brand.
Super excited for her and
her husband
and her husband.
We should have had him on. We could have asked them both like marital, like barbecue questions and whatever. That'd have been good.
Right.
Maybe next time we'll do that.
Yes, that's a good idea.
2.0. We'll do that 2.0. Yeah. For the folks that are tuning in, hey, grabbing the brisket, guys. Hey, go check out grabthebrisket.com.
Check out our merch store. Check out some of the content. Hopefully, one day we'll get a blog up and we'll start blogging. I don't know if it's even a thing.
We do have a blog. Yeah. It's on our website.
I know we do, but I mean, are we
just waiting? Waiting for Jan to start writing articles.
I can start typing, brother. I
wish
can
you
type
would.
30 words,
please.
Maybe 15 words a minute.
That's all. Hey,
yeah. And
please,
think about that for a second.
We've got all of our social medias on there, and we do have a video now with our first video episode, I guess you should say.
It's up and running.
It's on there, yeah. And I put a link on our actual website too, so you can find that.
It's
there.
What would you say? A whip? Definitely.
What?
Work in progress.
Work in progress. Yes, it's definitely a work in progress.
We're still working out on the video aspects of getting this in, but once we get it lined up, it's definitely going to be most of all the podcasts that we do are going to be videoed. Mm-hmm. You'll be able to check them out on YouTube, and we'll link them to all the other social media sites where you can kind of get little clips of it. But
absolutely,
we're adapting. We're
so
growing.
the first one with WeMan kind of looked like we did it with the 8mm camera or something.
Yeah,
but
we had that old school Nokia phone that we busted out of the junk drawer. Right. The flip phone.
Yeah. Anyways,
we played Snake right before we did it.
Yeah, it's still a great episode. Yeah, definitely want to go check it out.
It's actually a retro video, so we're actually artists.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up.
Hey, thank you for choosing the Grab and Brisket page. It's been awesome talking barbecue with you guys.
Peace.
Later, guys.
Dang it, Bobby. Just grab the brisket. We'd like to give a special thanks to Sucklebusters Barbecue Rubs and Sauces, Bolner's Fiesta Spices, CoolieNation Custom Koozies, Cambro Manufacturing, YETI Coolers, the Smoke Sheep Barbecue Newsletter, and Dalstrong Knives. We definitely appreciate your support.